Hello once again YouTube, Chris the Netbringer here, bringing you some StarMade today. Today we're taking a look at Macleod and Fleetworks progress, because currently Station Reviews is dominating my channel, and I'm going to have to push out a lot of them over the course of the next few days, so keep that in mind. If you have to dig through my channel to get to other content, that's fine, I totally understand that. And yeah, I'll be continuing the Station Reviews. I have to get through all of them before the 21 days are up, which means non-stop at recording and editing. So I do apologize for that if you're not interested, but they're there for those that are. So what we're going to be talking about today is some Sisters of Eve Online stuff, right? This is a faction in EVE Online. They are a pirate faction, although they're a little bit strange in the fact that they have what are, or used to be, medical ships that have been refurbished to play a role in combat. For example, this is a drone bay, but on the old medical vessel that it once was, it was actually some sort of medical bay. And this is something that applies to that ship, I believe, and the Nestor, which is a much larger version. And these are all medical ships that were created by a specific company, and somehow they convince that company to equip them with weapon systems, or make them ready to install weapons on them. It's a little strange. I don't know how they managed to pull that off, but they have, and this is the result. We have these Sisters of Eve ships, which have a very unique design in terms of Eve, aesthetic. They have this ring around it, which is actually the warp drive. The warp drive is built into this ring, which is really neat. And on top of that, from what I read in the concept art, it serves as some sort of anti-gravity device. I'm not sure why. I have a feeling that has to do with the fact that this is a medical ship, and that anti-gravity in a medical ship may come in handy. I have no idea. I have no idea why you would even need to install an anti-gravity device if you already have gravity devices in the ship. I have no idea if that's true, or if anything I'm saying it bears any weight in terms of what is real or not. So, I'm going to be going over, the interior of this ship. So it's mostly white hull, these ships, with some red accents and silver detail work. Right here we have the drone bay entrance, and here is the cargo bay entrance, which is surprisingly very close to the original design in terms of what it looks like, and I'm quite proud of that, right? So let's come in through the cargo bay, which is connected to the drone bay, right? And right here we have about 100 to 200 cubic meters of cargo room space, designated by the red blocks. This goes all the way down to the door, which is right here. And I put this into the flooring because this is these ships rely heavily on drones. And I figure, even though the drones cannot physically fit through here and therefore will not be a part of this ship, it wouldn't do me harm to, build drone racks on the ceiling to, give the interior some more detail, some more attention. So in ships that have drones, I'm going to try and put drones in them. They're going to be built into the ship. They're not going to be able to be taken off. You can, of course, delete them if you want. But basically, they'll be put into the ship on the roof. Or, well, wherever they're supposed to be. We can go down this corridor, and here we reach the core room, as well as the captain's chair, which would otherwise be empty. There's a few other things like monitors and stuff, and then back here is the living quarters for the crew. So this is a mix between Galente and Amarr design, which means there's a lot of curves. I'm not sure how well I could have potentially put them into this ship, because there's just a lot of limited space. I'm sure if I tried a little bit harder I could find a way to do it. I think I will, just to see how far I can take it with the curves. Galente and Amarr are like the curviest ship type races in EVE, so I definitely want that to be applied in here. It's going to be very white and sterile because it wants a mythical frigate. What else is there to say about this ship? I don't know. Of course, the purple is temporary, as is the external hull, which has not been updated with details or, armor or proper coloring. So, one thing I would like to talk about, however, is modules and my plan for modules. So, in EVE Online, there are 3 sets of module tiers. For each ship, there's high, medium, and low. And essentially this corresponds to the amount of power that these machines use. Low using the lowest amount of power, and high using the most. High slot modules oftentimes are the weapons of the ship. For example, a turret, be it missile or a cannon or a laser beam, takes up a lot of power at once and is therefore a high slot module. There are medium slot modules which affect things like shielding, which doesn't take up as much power somehow. I don't know how. But it doesn't take up as much power, so a lot of shield modules take up the mid slot. And the low slot take up things that are very passive, things like armor hardeners, which I don't know how those work, really. But that's a thing that I can translate into StarMade with the one of the modules. I can't remember which one. It's either punch through or piercing effect that hardens the armor of a ship, right? So I'll be able to translate modules from EVE into StarMade. Things like, you know, shield boosters, capacitor boosters, of course all the turrets and missile turrets and all the weapons from EVE can be translated to StarMade in some degree, which is really exciting because these are things that I really wanted to get to, is, you know, the customization that you guys will have once you get a ship and you have the modules to place in the ship. So, what does this mean? It means that there will be a uniform size for each of the ship types. For example, destroyers and frigates share the same size in terms of modules. So that means you'll be able to equip a turret from a frigate and take it off and put it on a destroyer, and it will be the same size the proper size that it should be, and it'll work well, right? Or as well as I can make it work. You'll be able to take a shield unit from a frigate and place on a destroyer because, again, they share the same module sizes. There are, I believe, 4 sizes. There's small, medium, large, and extra large. Extra large is for capitals, large is for battleships, I believe, and other ships. Medium is for everything between cruisers and battlecruisers, and small is for frigates and destroyers. So, you know, I'll be able to design these modules for you guys to place on your ships. Now, it gets a little bit more complicated than that. Not only do we have 3 types of module for each ship, because there are 3 different sizes, but the ships themselves have roles in EVE. For example, one frigate may be entirely designed for combat, and another frigate may be entirely designed for exploration. There are frigates that have been converted into stealth bombers, and because of these specific roles, they grant bonuses to themselves for the role they perform. For example, combat ships get bonuses to weapons that they can use. The stealth bomber gets bonuses to equipping stealth modules. In order for me to actually have that work, stealth would need a major revamp because stealth ships right now in StarMade are like really hard to do. But what this means is that I need to incorporate those role bonuses into the ship design so that players will use the ships the way they would use them in EVE. They would take a combat ship into battle and they would use an exploration ship to explore space. So what does that mean? It means that some of the modules are going to be partially built into the ship. For example, and this is where it gets very complicated, so bear with me. Let's say we have a medium module right here. If we, for example, wanted to boost our shielding amount, we could install shield boosting modules. So imagine that I have placed a machine in here inside this orange amount of space, this orange lighting area, right? Which is a representative of the module size. And it adds some shields to the ship, because that's what the module does. Now, what if the ship itself already has bonuses to equipping that type of module? And this is something that, you know, EVE does a lot. You know, they'll be like, for example, tackling is a thing where you stop another ship from moving. And some ships are specifically designed to get bonuses from equipping those modules. So what does that mean? And I'm going to change my example real quick. Let's say I put a tackling module in here, which would be a stop effect, right? this entire thing is like a stop effect machine that I've plugged into the ship. It's got its own computer, and you can use it immediately as soon as you've copied and pasted it into this spot. Now, on top of that, the ship will have a bonus for tackling, right? So this is where these purple lights come in, or these black lights. I think they're black lights. These black lights represent the amount of space dedicated to the roll bonus. So not only are you going to be able to attach the module for tackling, right? But the tackling blocks, the stop effect blocks, are going to be right next to the module slot. And that's going to give you an idea as to what the ship is supposed to be designed for, or used as, a tackling ship. So you can take the computer from the module, and then connect it to the additional blocks in this section here, and you'll get an even better bonus to your stop effect than you would have if you put it on a ship that was not designed for tackling. So, I hope you followed me on that, but essentially, certain ships are going to have built-in effects without computers. And you're going to have to install modules that have the appropriate computer to get the bonus effect that is already installed. And I hope you followed through on that. You know, I hope you followed that little bit of dialogue and understand what I'm trying to say. And essentially what this means is that when players are using my ships, they're going to be like, oh, this ship is supposed to be designed for tackling, or this ship is supposed to be really good at supplying shields to other ships, so I should use this ship specifically for those purposes. Instead of just being like, oh, I can use whatever weapons I want on this ship, and I can have, you know, a cloaking device on this ship, because I don't want players to do that. I want cloaking ships to be cloaking ships. I don't want players to install cloaking devices on these ships and use them willy-nilly as if, you know, this is what that ship was intended to do. No. I want players to realize that StarMade is a game where you can incorporate roles. You know, things for your ships to do as a group, and not as a jack-of-all-trades type of thing. I don't want ships to become stagnant in terms of, you know, what you use. I want people to dynamically try out and test each of the things that they can do with these ships, you know? Hopefully, I mean, again, players are still free to completely rip this ship to shreds and fit it with, you know, a massive cannon. Who's to stop them, you know? But I'm hoping players will see the value in this, and that they will, you know, begin to equip their ships for specific types of fights, for specific types of roles. And that's what I'm trying to do. And it's getting very complicated for me because I'm running out of space on some of these ships. I have to basically figure out whether I have enough room for some of these modules on some of the ships. And in a few future episodes, you will be seeing me go over some other frigates, where I've installed some of these placeholder modules, right? These are just placeholders for now, these orange and black lights and these green lights up here. And yeah, you guys will see some of the work I've done on the other frigates. Basically what I have to do right now is figure out the smallest amount of space inside the smallest frigate, right? And I base the module sizes off of that frigate, because all the other frigates are bigger, which means that they can certainly fit those module sizes, because again, it has to be uniform across the entire ship type, so that nobody has an unfair advantage, and I don't have to design modules specifically for each ship, because there are quite literally far too many to do that. Once I get that smallest frigate made, you will see frigates being made on a much faster pace, and it'll be really good. Also, one last thing I would like to mention is the fact that turrets will have two different ways of approach in terms of when you equip stuff to it. For example, a ship can have a not a combat bonus, but a bonus to the damage dealt by a turret, because it's specifically designed to work with that turret. So, what does this mean for you? It means that you have two options. You can either attach a turret to the dock and allow that turret to fight whatever it needs to fight automatically without you aiming the ship directly at it. That's the plan. That's plan number one. Plan number two. You take the turret, you copy and paste it onto the ship instead of docking it, and then you attach the additional modules to the weapons computer of the turret, and you get the bonus from the turret, or from the ship. So you can either have turrets that actually swivel around and shoot things that you're not directly looking at, which is potentially beneficial, or you can attach turrets to the ship with copy and paste and get a bit of bonus damage to the weapons that you install. And that's basically the plan for turrets. It's a little complicated, but I think it's really neat. It's a unique idea that I haven't really seen at all before, and I'm really excited when I get to those finishing, you know, some of this stuff. I'll be able to start implementing it, and it'll be really cool figuring that all out and giving ships actual roles for players to use. So that's what I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is the Astero. I'm Chris the Nightbringer, and subscribe for more. Leave your feedback down below, and I will see you guys for the next New Eden Fleetworks episode.